Can you hear me? Sorry, I put my name up third and suddenly I'm first. Okay. What a horrible shock. In the year of 2020 came a curse across the world. All the lovers that were parted had to have their joy adjourned. Meet me at a gypsy corner. We made a little vow. Me and the one that I adore will find a way to love someday, somehow. At a distance of 2 meters, they tried so hard to be good. Talking, singing, but no touching in that place named Connorswood. Meet me down a gypsy corner. We made a little vow. Me and the one that I adore will find a way to love someday, somehow. Through the dappled light they wandered, but so very far apart. Ne'er a hug and ne'er a kiss could be shared by those sweethearts. Meet me down a gypsy corner. We made a little vow. Me and the one that I adore will find a way to love somehow. We've got a little secret. We made a little vow. Meet me down a gypsy corner. We'll find a way to love somehow. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Angelica. Sorry, that was a horrible shock. Luckily, your singing was not a horrible shock.
My heart's still pounding.
Much.
That did not work.
What's that?
The unmuting didn't work.
It did.
Yes, it did.
Right.
Worked to some
did.
Not for me.
Did for some
I
of
did
us.
my own.
For everyone. But I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it anyway.
It works for some. Who knows? Anyway,
knows?
You've always wanted to shut me up.
True.
Our next singer is going to be David Kidman, and followed by Bob Askew. You're all moving around in the list again. I wish you'd settle down, but I don't think you actually have
Nothing to do with us.
So, David, followed by Bob, please.
Right, everybody's zooming around the list, are they? Right.
You're muted.
I've got to do it myself. Yeah, I've done it myself. Can you hear me now? Yes. Right. I did say I didn't know how to follow Angelica, but this is a song without a guitar, and it's one I sung last night, so I hope Sarah will forgive me for singing it again. Song by Graham Miles. And somebody sang Drift from the Land last week. This one is a completely different animal. You are the light, the silver light of dawn. You are the song that linnet sings. You are the sun that makes me warm. You are my morning. You are my morning. You are my morning. You are. You are the dove that brings me peace. You are the breeze that soothes my brow. You are the rain that cools my cheek. You are my comfort. You are my comfort. You are my comfort. You are. You are the air in every breath I breathe. You are the thought that never leaves my mind. You are the pulse that makes my heart to beat. You are my life. You are my life. You are my life. You are. And you are my morning. You are my comfort. And you are my life. You are. 10 miles, exercise 7%.
Thank you, David. Who was that by?
Graeme Miles.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And what and where is the picture behind you?
It's the beach at Corpac near Fort William, and if you look carefully, you might see Ben Nevis.
You can never see Ben Nevis. I lived around there for 3 years.
Part of it, Amanda, part of it.
But we see it more often than we see Mount Fuji.
Probably.
Okay, what's happening next? Bob
Thank you.
Askew is happening next, followed by Pal Carter.
I thought I'd do something with the guitar, especially as David did one without one. I don't usually manage to get a guitar to Shurtz, and I haven't used it hardly for years, but I'd like to do a ballad, The House Carpenter. I think it's a tragedy. Whatever this woman chooses to do, it's going to be wrong, but she makes a choice that is worse than the other alternatives. Well met, my own true love. Well met, cried she. It's been 1.5 long, long years since you and I have seen. Come in, come in, come in, my love. Come in, sit down by me. Been 1.5 long, long years you and I have seen. I can't come in, I won't sit down. I've not a moment's time. For you have married a house carpenter. My heart's no longer mine. I could have married a king's daughter there. She would have married me. But I forsake those crowns of gold. Oh, for the love of thee. Now will you leave the house, carpenter, and come along with me? I'll take you where the grass grows green on the banks of Italy. Well, he'd taken up her little baby boy, gave him kisses 3, saying, you stay here with the house carpenter, keep him company. Well, they hadn't been gone beyond 2 weeks, I'm sure it was not 3, when this fair lady began to weep. She cried most bitterly. Oh, why do you weep, my love? Is it for your golden store? Or do you weep for the house carpenter who never you'll see anymore? No, I don't weep for the house carpenter, nor for my golden store. But I do weep for my little baby boy, who never I'll see anymore. Well, they hadn't been gone beyond 3 weeks, I'm sure it was not 4, when their fair ship it sprang a leak, was never seen anymore.
Nice.
Okay, second.
Thanks, Bob. It's very early in the evening to have a ballad tradition. So well done on that. Hopefully there'll be plenty more to come.
First drowning of the night.
Yeah. So that was Bob. Our next singer's Pal, and after Pal, it's Sheila Miller.
I've never heard you play the guitar before, Bob, all these years. We'll need more. Okay. The snows, they melt the soonest when the winds begin to sing. The corn, it ripens fastest as the frosts are settling in. And when a young man tells me that my face he'll soon forget, before we part I'll wage a crown, he'll be fain to follow it yet. The snows, they melt the soonest when the winds begin to sing. The swallow flies without a thought as long as it is spring. When springtime goes and winter blows, my love, and you'll be fain with all your pride to follow me across the stormy main. Oh, the snows, they melt the soonest when the winds begin to sing. The bee that flew in summertime in winter will not sing. I've seen a woman's anger melt betwixt the night and morn. It's surely not a harder thing to melt a woman's scorn. So never bid me farewell, for no farewell I receive. You will lie with me, my love, and kiss and take your leave. I'll wait here till the woodcock calls and the martin takes the wing. For the snows, they melt the soonest when the winds begin to sing.
Lovely pal, fantastic song that.
I like that, yeah.
So we had Pal, we're having Sheila next, and David Jones will follow Sheila, please.
I'm going to have a go at.
I think you're muted,
Just
Sheila.
muted yourself rather than unmuting.
Have muted me. I keep trying to unmute myself and accidentally going into chat. I'm going to keep the words of this handy because, as I said, I haven't sung this for ages, but you'll understand why I'm singing it this week. It's by Bernice Johnson-Reagon from Sweet Honey in the Rock. Ooh, see if that'll stay there. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers' sons. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. That which touches me most is that I've had a chance to work with people, passing on to others that which was passed on to me. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. To me, young people come first, they come first. They have the courage where we fail. And if I can but shed some light as they carry us through the gale, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The older I get, the better I know that the secret of my going on is when the reins are in the hands of the young who dare to run against the storm. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Not needing to clutch for power, not needing the light just to shine on me. I need to be one in the number as we stand up against tyranny. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Struggling myself don't mean a whole lot. I've come to realize that teaching others to stand up and fight is the only way our struggle survives. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Very appropriate.
Sheila.
Excellent choice.
That was a bit hoarse.
Absolutely.
The horses were hard.
Choice for these times, Sheila. Need to be hearing these songs as well in protests and things. Take them out there. So, David Jones is our next singer, and after David, Steve Suffet, please. And I've just discovered an exciting thing, that if you're on a laptop, you can press down the space bar and to unmute yourself temporarily.
Oh, I wonder if that works on an iPad.
Sometimes. No space bar, Sheila.
Yes. There we are.
It's working for me with an external keyboard.
I'm on now, right?
Yep.
Okay. I've never been to Wigan, but this is a song. The place takes place in beautiful downtown Wigan. Come, people, pay attention and listen to my song. It isn't my intention to detain you very long. I came home from sea the other night, and a lassie I chanced to meet. She invited me to dance with her down on Peter Street. I'm going to pitch it up a bit, I think. Come, people, pay attention and listen to my song. It isn't my intention to detain you very long. I came home from sea the other night, and a lassie I chanced to meet. She invited me to dance with her down on Peter Street. I said, my dear young lady, I do not dance so well, and I am bound for Wigan town, where my parents they do dwell. I have been at sea for 7 long years, and I've saved up £50, and my parents are expecting me tonight in Wigan town. She said, if you will come with me, then I'll show you a treat. I'll buy you rum and brandy, love, and something nice to eat. And at 6 o'clock in the evening, I'll convey you to the train. And you'll be sure to call on me when you're in town again. Well, this lady was inviting and so nice to old Jack Tar that I agreed to go with her, and so we hired a car. And as we jogged along the streets, I could hear the neighbors say, "Be Jesus, old Jack, you'll need a jaunting car before he gets away." Now when we got inside the house, the whiskey was brought in. And when every man had had his fill, then the dancing did begin. My love and I, we danced a reel to a good old-fashioned tune. And I did a couple of double shuffles all around the room. When the dancing it was over, then to bed we did repair. But when I awoke next morning, the truth I will declare. My gold watch and my £50, and me lady friend were fled, and there was I, Jack, all alone, stark naked on the bed. Well, I looked all around the room, but nothing could I spy, but a lady's shift and apron are hanging out to dry. I tore me hair and cursed the drink. I cried, what shall I do? Oh, the Lord forgive me, Wigan town, will I ever again see you? But when daylight, it was fading and night was drawing near, I put on that shift and apron and I walked down to the pier. And as I crept on board the ship, I heard a messmate say, "I'll be Jesus, old Jack, he got the ducks before he got away." Is that the new spring fashion, Jack, that you have brought from shore? Where is the shop you bought it from, and have they any more? The last time that I spoke to you, you said you were homeward bound. Well, you might have got a better suit than that for £50. Well, I might have got a better suit if I had had the chance. But I met this pretty fair maid, she invited me to dance, and I danced my own destruction with a lassie that was so neat. But I'll never more go dancing, boys, down on Peter Street.
Great stuff, David. John White, I could see you smiling all the way through that. So after Steve Suffet, you're going to be on.
Oh, right. Does it come to? I say it's a new version of the Road to Wigan Pier that George Orwell wrote about years ago.
He wrote The Road to Wigan Pier.
I don't think you'd find a ship at Wigan Pier.
No.
No, there's a
canal
in Wigan, but not.
There's a Wigan Pier.
Yes, but it's on a canal. It's not a seagoing location.
No, it was for loading coal.
From Livy.
Used.
Okay, I just unmuted myself. Is that correct? Can you hear me? The South Coast is wild and lonely. You might find a gay man alone, but the lion still rules the barranca, and a man there is always alone. Jalón is a town in Southern California, near Monterey. The song dates back to the 1920s when it was a cowboy song. Sam Erskine wrote it, I believe, and he set it to the words of a poem. And it's based on an old legend. And the chorus comes around occasionally at irregular times. I'll try that again. The South Coast is wild and lonely. You might win a game at alone, but the lion still rules the barranca, and a man there is always alone. Barranca is a Spanish word for a small hill, a low hill. And the lions are not the African kind of lions, they're the mountain lions found in North America. My name is Lejano del Castro. My father's a Spanish grandee, but I won my wife in a card game. To hell with those lords across the sea. I sat in a card game in Jalón. I played against a gambler named Juan, and after I'd won all his money, he He said, your homestead against my daughter gone. Oh, the South Coast is wild and lonely. You might win a game at alone, but the lion still rules the barranca, and a man there is always alone. I picked up the ace, I had won her. My heart that was down at my feet flew up to my throat in an instant. Like a warm summer's field, she was sweet. He opened the door to the kitchen. He called the girl out with a curse. Said, take her, goddamn you, you won her. She's yours now for better or worse. Her arms had to tighten around me as we rode up the hills from the south. Not a word did I get from her that day, nor a kiss from her pretty red mouth. We arrived at the... What's the next thing? We arrived at my cabin at twilight. The stars twinkled over the coast. She soon loved the orchards and valleys, but I knew that she loved me the most. Oh, the South Coast is wild and lonely. You might win a game at alone, but the lion still rules the barranca, and a man there is always alone. And then I got hurt in a landslide, crushed hip and twice broken bone. She saddled a buck just like lightning and rode through the night alone. A lion screamed in the barranca, buck bolted and fell on a slide. My poor wife lay dead in the moonlight. My heart died that night with my bride. They buried her out in the orchard. They carried me down to Halone. It's been 55 years since I lost her. I'm a broken old man all alone. Last time, the South Coast is wild and lonely. You might win a game at alone, but the lion still rules the barranca, and a man there is always alone. The South Coast by Sam Erskine.
Muting myself again.
Nice one, Steve. Thank you very much. An unusual accompaniment as well. It kind of suits it.
I learned that accompaniment from the Kingston Trio, and there was a one with melody changes for 2 verses. That's also something they do. And I believe Rambling Jack Elliott and Arlo Guthrie have recorded it, and they don't make that little melody change. So the accompaniment was from Kingston Trio. Thank you.
Thank you. So over to John White, and John will be followed by Tara.
Okay.
Oh, hang on, John. You need to be unmuted.
And I'm sure a number of you will think back over the years who he was always at the festivals and looking into sharps when he was in town. And Ian grew up in a small village in East Anglia, where the locals had their own way of dealing with the local lord of the manor, who was very keen to throw them into jail or fine them if they knocked off a pheasant or a hare for the family cook pot. So here's Ian's song, Hooks and Nets. When the night sky is dark and the moon dimly shines, I'm off to the woods to feed my wife and mine, with me hooks and me nets and me little flashlight. I'm wandering abroad, it's a fine poaching night. Now the pheasant, he sits in the branches so high, so I mark his old places as I'm passing by. Then back with me wires me little flashlight. Back him and wander home in the moonlight with me hooks and me nets and me little flashlight. I'm wandering abroad, it's a fine poaching night. Now a little old partridge would be such a treat, but you have to tread quiet, they sit so tight. One step too near, they're away with their din, and I've no wish to waken those fine gentlemen with me hooks and me nets and me little flashlight. I'm wandering abroad, it's a fine poaching night. Just as the nightingale brings in the dawn, the keeper will search, I will be gone. Back to me house with a lightly old tread, in through the back door and into me bed with me hooks and me nets and me little flashlight. I'm wandering abroad, it's a fine poaching night. Now boil them all up with potatoes and swede. Tell me what more could a village man need? With me pint and me pipe in the pub I'm all right, and I'm free to go wandering in the woods any night with me hooks and me nets, me little flashlight. I'm wandering abroad, it's a fine poaching night. Ian Woods.
Please.
This one, John.
Thanks very much, John. I'm afraid we missed a little bit of your introduction because of you were still on mute, but I think we got the gist of it. Thank you very much for that. Tara will be singing next from Behind the Veil, and Tara will be followed by Rich Galloway, please.
Yeah, I think I kind of like myself invisible. I can kind of, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? I seem very quiet.
You're a little bit faint.
Well, I'm as near to the mic as I can get, but you know, this is a borrowed computer, so I hope you can still hear me, and I'll do my best to be heard. And this was inspired by Mike's folk program again, so we're going to Botany Bay with this one. There we go. It's a Sharp's collected one. Come on, young men of learning good, a warning take by me. I'll have you quit night walking and shun bad company. I'll have you quit night walking, or else you'll rue the day, and you will be transported and sent to Botany Bay. I was brought up in London town, a place I know right well. Brought up by honest parents, the truth to you I'll tell. Brought up by honest parents who loved me tenderly, till I became a roving blade to prove my destiny. My character was taken and I was sent to jail. My parents tried to clear me, but nothing would prevail. Was at those Rackin sessions, judge to me did say, the jury's found you guilty, must go to Botany Bay. To see my poor old father as he stood at the bar. Likewise my own dear mother, her old grey locks she tore, and in tearing up her old grey locks, these words to me did say, oh son, what have you done? You must go to Botany Bay. Oh son, what have you done? You must go to Botany Bay. Thank you.
Great to hear the guitar on that, Satara, as well as the singing. Thank you.
Oh shit, I just dropped the guitar, but yeah.
now you're much louder. How does that work?
Hello, no, I just dropped the guitar. Yes, I learned it for I'm not very good at guitar. I'm learning the guitar, and obviously dropping it on the floor is probably not the best way to improve my playing, but still.
Probably not, but just for future reference, we can hear you a lot better now than you're much actually. The volume's a bit higher now.
That's because I've stuck it right in front of my mouth, which I can't actually do when I'm playing the guitar. I'm actually holding it in front of my mouth.
All right, moving on then.
Thank you.
Rich next, and after Rich, Gary Walker.
We got to singing ghost songs the other night. This came to mind. And you should know that along the northeast coast of the U.S. and Canada, legend is that if sailors are lost at sea, they will attempt to board their vessel the next time that vessel is there, or in the case where one vessel sinks another, then they'll try to board the vessels that sunk them the next time out. And so the ghosts their spirits can get home and rest. So knowing that, this is a story that was written in the aftermath of the sinking of the of the Andrew Johnson, a fishing vessel by another fishing vessel, Haskell. They were adrift in a storm, and the Haskell struck the Andrew Johnson amidship. So, and this was based on a poem written by Harry Marcy, who heard many of the sailors who came back talk about it. So, you may smile if you've a mind to, but perhaps you'll lend an ear. For boy and man together for well nigh 50 year, I've sailed upon the water in summer's pleasant days, likewise in snowy winter when the howling winds do rage. And I've seen storms, I tell you, when everything looked blue, but somehow or another I was lucky and got through. I ain't a brag, I tell you, I won't say worse, but then I was never as easily frightened as most of other men. We were the night I spoke of. I never thought before I'd see the sights I saw then a little ways offshore. The trip before our schooner, she was on the Georges then, ran down the Andrew Johnson, sank her and all her men. This night, as I was saying, we were off shores a ways. I never shall forget it in all my mortal days. For in the dim dark watches I felt the chilly dread come o'er me as though I'd heard one calling from the dead. And o'er our rail there clamored, all silent, one by one, a dozen dripping sailors. Just wait till I am done. Their faces pale with sea wet, looked ghastly in the night. Each fellow took his station, just as if he had a right. They moved about together till land did heave in sight. Or rather I should say, sir, the lighthouse tower light. And then those ghostly sailors all to the rail as one. They vanished like a mist god before the rising sun. It weren't a dream, I tell you, for all the Haskell's crew can tell you the same story, just as I'm telling you. Perhaps you can guess the reason why those spirits they should come and navigate the vessel till just in sound of home. Those were the same poor fellows, may God now rest their souls, that our old craft ran under that time on George's shoals. Well, now you have my story, the same as I have seen. I never believed in spirits, but I always will since then.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
True story.
It is a true story. They did see ghosts, and it was in the
But
captain's
when
log.
the sailors walked
The
off
road.
the boat
What?
over the water, headed a little south-west, headed towards Salem, not Gloucester. So they knew it was a Salem boat and not a Gloucester boat. It's absolutely true, you know.
Yeah.
A little, not quite.
Anyway, thank you, Rich. That's a great
Bill
song.
Dorflinger.
Great song.
When I used to be at the club in Gloucester, Massachusetts, Bill Dorflinger would spend his summers up there. Bill Dorflinger would tell this story for that one. He would take a long time telling it too.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Gary's our next singer, possibly with something also nautical. And Gary will be followed by Martin Neal.
Okay, no, nothing nautical from me tonight. This is a song popularised by the Copper family, Claudy Banks. 'Twas on one summer's evening, all in the month of May, down by a flowery garden, where Betsy she did stray, I overheard a fair maid in sorrow to complain, all for her absent lover, who ploughs the raging main. All right, here's a bit of sweet sea song there. I stepped up to this fair maid and put her in surprise. I own she did not know me, I being all in disguise. Said I, my charming creature, my joy and heart's delight, how far have you to travel this dark and rainy night? Away, kind sir, to the cloudy banks, if you will please to show pity a poor girl distracted, it's there I have to go. I'm a-looking for a young man, and Johnny is his name, and I'm told it's there on Claudy Banks, today he do remain. If my Johnny he was here this night, he'd keep me from all harm, but he's cruising the wide ocean in tempest and in storm. He's a-cruising the wide ocean for honour and for gain, but I'm told his ship got wrecked all on the coast of Spain. Now when she heard this dreadful news, she fell into despair, all a wringing of her hands and a tearing of her hair. Since my Johnny's gone and left me, no man on earth I'll take, but it's all my life on Claudy Banks, I'll wander for his sake. Now Johnny, hearing her say so, he could no longer stand. He fell into her arms, crying, Betsy, I'm that man. I am that faithful young man, and whom you thought was slain. And since we've met on Claudy banks, we'll never part again.
I told you it was nautical, Gary.
Yeah, you were right.
Pseudo nautical, thank you. Hey, Martin nails our next singer, and Martin, you will be followed by Riggy, please.
Right, I think it's time for another ballad. So this is one from the Penguin. I did a song from the Penguin book last week. So here's another one from the original Penguin book of English folk songs. Collected from a woman called Charlotte Dan in Cambridgeshire, but I think the editors of the book sort of fitted it up with a few more verses, as there weren't enough. And this is the tune as it appears in the Penguin book, as opposed to the sort of more folky tune that Bert Lloyd fitted it up with at some point. Fair, fair Lucy, she sits at her father's door, a-crying and making moan. And by there came her brother dear. What ails thee, Lucy, one? Oh, I ail and I ail, dear brother, she says, and I'll tell you the reason why. There is a child between my two sides, between you, dear brother, and I. Then he has taken his good broadsword that hung down by his knee, and he has cut off poor Lucy one's head, and her poor body in three. Oh, what is the blood on the point of your sword? Oh, son, come tell unto me. Oh, that is the blood of my grey mare. She would not ride for me. Oh, your grey mare's blood was never so thick. Oh, son, come tell unto me. Oh, that is the blood of my greyhound. She would not run for me. Oh, your greyhound's blood was never so red. Oh, son, come tell unto me. Oh, that's not the blood of my greyhound. It's the blood of my sister Lucy. And what will you do when your father comes to know? Oh, son, come tell unto me. I'll dress myself in a new suit of blue and sail to some far country. And what will you do with your house and your lands? Oh, son, come tell unto me. I'll leave them all to my children so small, by one, by two, by three. And when will you turn to your own wife again? Oh, son, come tell unto me. When the sun and the moon both dance over yonder hill, and that will never be. Lucy one.
Nice one.
Good night for ballads. Thanks, Martin. That's a cracker, actually. Okay, Riggy is our next singer, and after Riggy, Kathy Dent.
Okay. It's only 1 o'clock here in California, so you can imagine how ridiculous this will be singing this particular song, but I've been known to drink at 1. It's beer o'clock. Let's just get this ready here. There stands the glass that will ease all my pain, that will settle my brain. It's my first one today. There stands the glass that will hide all my tears, that will drown all my fears. Brother, I'm on my way. I'm wondering where you are tonight. I'm wondering where you are right. I'm wondering if you think of me in my misery. There stands the glass. Fill it up to the brim till my troubles grow dim. It's my first one today. There stands the glass that will ease all my pain, that will settle my brain. It's my first one today. There stands the glass that will hide all my tears, that will drown all my fears. And brother, I'm on my way. I'm wondering where you are tonight. I'm wondering if you are all right. I wonder if you think of me in my misery. There stands the glass. Fill it up to the brim till my world grows dim. It's my first one today. So just say
Lovely one.
Fantastic.
Will it be your last one?
Making a nice song, Riggy.
Lovely song.
Never know, Riggy.
Yeah.
Well, where did that come from, Riggy?
A country singer named Webb Pierce.
Webb Pierce, of course.
Good for him. I've heard it before, but that was very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. Very close.
I hope to do a whole record of country songs soon, but focusing on the love songs of New York. The country love songs of New York.
They're pretty rough, I think. Love songs of New York.
And I want
niche market.
I want to do one called "She Brung Her Dog to Our First Coffee Talk."
A dog.
She brung a dog. Our first.
You're gonna do them in the right accent.
Looking forward to that, Riggy.
There's always fairy tale of New York.
Okay, Kathy's next, and after Kathy, after Kathy, we'll have Lisa.
After who?
Where is she?
After Kathy, we'll have Lisa.
Okay, this is a lockdown song written by my beloved. He was thinking about all the people who were furloughed and then thinking about the people who were on the margins of society and so couldn't get furloughed. So this has got a chorus, it's to a well-known tune, so sing along at the end. This is Hard Times for the Forgotten Occupations. In non-lockdown times through the streets he would roam. His previous convictions could fill up a tone. But now he can't break into anyone's home. Now it's oh the hard times for the burglar. For the burglar, very hard times. The man who you phoned when you needed to score, he can't drive to meet you and deal anymore. He can't sell to you what you sniff up a straw. Now it's oh the hard times for the dealer. For the dealer, very hard times. This fan of the flat race and national hunt was in seventh heaven when his horse was in front. But now there is nothing on which he can punt, and it's oh the hard times for the gambler, very hard times. Resplendent in thigh boots and long shiny mac, she'd tie you up firmly and give you a thwack. Now willing submissives she sadly does lack, and it's oh the hard times for Miss Whiplash, very hard times. So now to conclude and to finish my song, let's hope that these hard times do not last too long. I hope to have occasion to alter my song and sing, oh, the good times for the scoundrels, very good times.
Very good.
Great to have a song celebrating the scoundrels. James will grab that one for the article he's writing about lockdown songs.
He's already got the word.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so Lisa's our next singer, and then Chris Lamb. You need to unmute yourself, Lisa.
I am. This is a song that goes back to the civil rights struggles after the killing of the 3 civil rights workers from New York, well, 2 from the north and 1 from Mississippi, who went down to organize and help African Americans in Mississippi organize to register for to vote, because at that point in Mississippi, as well as in many other parts of the country, African Americans were not allowed to vote unless they passed long and completely nonsensical literacy tests. And even the fact of getting to register for them was very, very difficult. So there was a large crusade of Northern students and Southern civil rights workers who organized in Mississippi, and three civil rights workers were savagely killed and their bodies were hidden. They were found out, they were buried in a dam. I happened to be there during that year. I was the wife of a journalist, and we were down there sort of covering the situations, covering this great civil rights movement that had taken place in Mississippi. And eventually the body of the slain civil rights worker Andrew Goodman was found. And Jean Ritchie, the great singer that many of you know as a wonderful Appalachian singer, wrote this song because she was very good friends with Andrew Goodman's mother. And Jean's husband was Jewish and grew up with a very rich Jewish cultural tradition. And Jean knew it well and absorbed some of the structures of this song from the Yiddish song many of you may recognize as Tumbalalaika. So here's the song. He was too young to, he was too young to know much about living. He was too young to have cried a lover's sigh. He was old enough to care about his unknown brothers, old enough to care enough to die. And never, never tell them that you're lonely, and never cry but at night and all alone. And when they ask what do you feel, then I will hear you tell them, a boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. A boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. They asked me questions that had so many answers. Oh, tell me, what is it can grow without the rain? Oh, tell me, what is it can hurt without a teardrop falling? What can bloom forever without flame? And never, never tell them that you're lonely, and never cry but at night and all alone. And when they ask what do you feel, then I will hear you tell them, a boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. A boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. I was so young, I gave them honest answers. I said a rock can burn without the flame. A hurting heart can cry without a teardrop falling. True love can burn without the pain. And never, never tell them that you're lonely, and never cry but at night and all alone. And when they ask what do you feel, then I will hear you tell them, a boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. A boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. Farewell, young friend, although I never knew you. The shame is mine and borne upon my face. Please God, you'll know that there where your young life ended, 10,000 more will rise to take your place. And never, never tell them that you're lonely, and never cry but at night and all alone. And when they ask what do you feel, then I will hear you tell them, A boy was here, but it's a man who has gone. A boy was here, but it's a man who has gone.
Lovely.
Oh.
Great stuff.
Excellent.
Boy, that's just smashing.
Lovely.
Leave it to Jean.
Fantastic song, Lisa. Thank you very much. Yeah, wow. Might take a while to recover from that, but
Yeah.
Chris Lamb is here to aid our recovery, and also Clive after Chris.
Okay, this is a patriotic song called A Place Called England by Maggie Holland. I rode out on a bright May morning like a hero in a song, looking for a place called England, trying to find where I belong. Couldn't find the old flood meadow or the house that once I knew, no trace of the little river or the garden where I grew. I saw town and I saw country, motorway and sink estate, rich man in his rolling acres, poor man still outside the gate. Retail park and burger kingdom, prairie field and factory farm, run by men who think that England's only a place to park their car. But as the train pulled from the station through the wastelands of despair, from the corner of my eye, the brightness filled the filthy air. Someone's grown a patch of sunflowers, though the soil is sooty black. Marigolds and a few tomatoes right beside the railway track. Down behind the terraced houses, in between the concrete towers, compost heaps and scarlet runners, secret gardens full of flowers. Nita grows her scented roses right beneath the big jet's path. Bitter fortune for her garden, Eileen turns away and laughs. So rise up, George, and wake up, Arthur. Time to rouse out from your sleep. Deck the horse with sea green ribbons. Drag the old sword from the deep. Hold the line for Dave and Daniel as they tunnel through the clay, while the oak in all its glory soaks up sun for one more day. Come all you at home with freedom, whatever the land that gave you birth, there's room for you, both root and branch, as long as you love the English earth. Room for vole and room for orchid, room for all to grow and thrive, just less room for the fat landowner on his arse in his four-wheel drive. For England is not flag or empire, it is not money, it is not blood, it's limestone gorge and granite fell, it's Weald and clay and Severn mud. It's blackbirds singing from the May tree, lark ascending through the scales, robin watching from your spade, and English earth beneath your nails. So here's to cheers for a place called England, sore abused but not yet dead, a Mr. Harding sort of England, hanging in there by a thread. Here's to cheers for the crazy diggers, now their hour shall come around. We shall plant the seed they saved us, Commonwealth and common ground. Here's to cheers for the crazy diggers, now their hour shall come around. We shall plant the seed they saved us, Commonwealth and common ground.
Classic song, that.
Thanks, Chris. I don't think I'd heard that song until May's Trad to Mad competition, and somebody entered that. entered that song. So it seems to be becoming.
Yes, I hadn't heard it much until a few months ago when I learned it, and since then I seem to keep hearing it.
Okay.
It's come back in, hasn't it? Yeah.
Did Maggie write it herself?
Okay, so Clive is our next singer, and Clive will be followed by Dave Harbord.
Can somebody unmute Clive?
Here you get Clive. Livy and I will race to find him on our screens. I've got him. Are you refusing to sing? Because I can see your lips moving.
He's still
muted.
I
can't unmute him.
No, I can't either. I don't know what's going on. Clive, are you avoiding being unmuted?
Are you able to unmute yourself, Clive?
Because he's on an iPad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, he won't be. I can't unmute him.
No, I'm having a go as well. Oh, that's quite annoying.
If he unmuted him, if he muted himself, then he's got to unmute.
Yeah, yeah, we've got an ask to unmute button. Clive, we're going to have to leave it just now. I have no idea if you're. I guess you can hear us. Anyway, okay. I'm afraid we'll have to move on then. For the moment, we'll try and bring you in later on. So Dave Harbord is our next singer, and followed by Simon Prager.
Right, this is a true tale in this song. This chap, Andrew Rose, was on a ship that sailed from London to Barbados, and he fell out with the captain, and he jumped ship when he arrived there, but they caught him, and this is what happened to him on the way home to England. Andrew Rose, the British sailor, now to you his wrongs I'll name, was on the passage from Barbados, all on board of the Martha Jane. 'Twas up aloft the captain sent him, naked in the noonday sun, while the mate did follow after, flogging till the blood did run. Now wasn't that most cruel usage, with not a friend to interpose, when they whipped and mangled, gagged and strangled the British sailor Andrew Rose? 'Twas on the quarter deck they laid him, they gagged him with an iron bar. Wasn't that most cruel usage, to put upon a British tar? The captain gave him stuff to swallow, stuff to you I will not name, while the crew got sick with horror, all on board of the Martha Jane. Now wasn't that most cruel usage, with not a friend to interpose, when they whipped and mangled, gagged and strangled the British sailor Andrew Rose? 'Twas in a water cask they put him, for 7 long days they kept him there, when loud for mercy he did venture, none to help him did not dare. For 20 days they did ill use him, and when in Liverpool they arrived, the judge he heard the dreadful story. Captain Rogers, you must die. And wasn't that most cruel usage, with not a friend to interpose, when they whipped and mangled, gagged and strangled the British sailor Andrew Rose? Come all you friends and near relations, and all you friends who would interpose, never treat a British sailor like they did poor Andrew Rose.
Nice one.
Very nice,
David.
Thank
A little bit of info on it. The crew testified at the captain's trial. About 30,000 odd people or something turned out for hanging. Quite extraordinary. Anyway, thank you.
For TV and movies and that kind of thing, I guess. A good hanging was entertainment. What is wrong with people?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Can't do any social distancing though.
Okay, so Simon is our next singer, and then we'll have Sarah P.
Hi, I was thinking of doing a recitation. Is that permitted?
It certainly is.
This is a...
There's not a lot we can do to stop you anyway.
You can mute me. In fact,
good point.
You can do a lot more now to stop me than you could live. Anyway, this is a Stanley Holloway monologue, and they quite a lot of them, including this one, were written by a chap called Marriott Edgar. And Marriott Edgar was from Yorkshire, I believe, although he was born in Scotland, and he was the half brother of Edgar Wallace, whose real name was Edgar, I believe. Anyway, that's all water under the bridge. This is the story of the Magna Charta, and unfortunately these were written in Yorkshire, and they need a Yorkshire accent. I can't do a Yorkshire accent, but I can do a sort of generic northern thing, which is what they were written in. I'll tell of the Magna Charta as was signed at the Baron's command on Runningmead Island in middle of Thames by King John, as were known as Lackland. Some say it were wrong of the barons, their will on the king so to thrust, but you'll see if you look at both sides of the case that they had to do something or bust. For John, from the moment they crowned him, started acting so cunning and sly. Being king, of course, he couldn't do any wrong, but by gum, he'd a proper good try. He squandered the ratepayers' money, and all their cattle and corn did he take, till there wasn't a morsel of bread in the land, and folk had to manage on cake. The way he behaved to young Arthur went to show as his feelings was bad. He tried to get Hubert to poke out his eyes, which is no way to treat a young lad. It were all right in being a tyrant to vassals and folk of that class, but he tried on his tricks with the barons and all, and that's where he made a folks pass. He started bombarding their castles and burning them over their head, till there wasn't enough castles left to go round, and they had to sleep 6 to a bed. So they went to the king in a body, and their spokesman, Fitzwalter by name, he opened the hole in his helmet and said, conciliatory like, what's the game? The king starts to shilly and shally. He sits and he haws and he hums, till the barons, in rage, started gnashing their teeth, and then with no teeth gnashed their gums. Said Fitz through the hole in his helmet, it was you who put us in this plight. And the king, having nothing to say to this here, murmured, leave your address and I'll write. This angered the gallant Fitzwalter. He stamped on the floor with his foot, and was starting to give John a rare ticking off, when the hole in his helmet fell shut. We'll get him a Magna Charta, said Fitz, when his face he had freed. Said the barons, that's right, and if one's not enough, get a couple, and happen they'll breed. So they set about making a charter, When it finished, they'd got it drawn up. It looked like a paper on cattle disease or the entries for the Waterloo Cup. Next day, King John, all unsuspecting and having the afternoon free, to Runningmead Island, had taken a boat and were having some shrimps for his tea. He'd just pulled the head off a big un and were pinching its tail with his thumb when up came a barge load of barons who said, "We thought you'd be here, so we've come." When they told him they'd brought Magna Charta, the king seemed to go kind of limp, but minding his manners, he took off his hat and said, "Thanks very much, have a shrimp." "You'd best sign at once," said Fitzwalter. "If you don't, I'll tell thee for a start. The next coronation will happen quite soon, and you won't be there to take part." So they spread Charter out on tea table, and John signed his name like a lamb. His writing in places was sticky and thick through dipping his pen in the jam. And listen, this is the definition of the Tory approach to British democracy. And it's through that there Magna Charta, as was signed by the barons of old, that in England today we can do what we like, so long as we do what we're told.
Lovely.
True.
Cracking stuff, thank you. It's always good to have a recitation or something, or an instrument or something a bit different. Not that we don't love all the singing. That was great, thank you. Okay, so Sarah's next, and I think Sarah will round off this half for us. Then we'll have a break. Then we'll do it all again with the people who haven't been on yet.
Okay, everybody's muted. I think, yeah, okay. So as I'm finishing off the first half, what a privilege, I better do a chorus song that you can all join in on. So this is a song that comes from County Clare, I think, and it's a song about a sailor. Usually sailor songs, girls lusting after their sailors are miserable, but this one's quite jolly, and she's full of hope because she thinks he's going to come back again. Whether he actually will, I'll leave up to your discretion, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. My love, he is a sailor, my bonny boy in blue. The day he stole my heart away and promised he'd be true. But now he's gone and left me to plough the raging main. He promised he'd return to his Nancy once again. Oh dear me, sure my poor heart would break, longing for the time to come when Johnny and I will meet, with his red rosy cheeks and his heart was ever true. He is the darling of my heart, my bonny boy in blue. The day we're sailing, I heaved a heavy sigh. I waved my pocket handkerchief while bidding him goodbye. And when the ship sailed out of sight, I didn't know what I'd do. I nearly thought my heart would break for my bonny boy in blue. Oh dear me, sure my poor heart will break, longing for the time to come when Johnny and I will meet, with his red rosy cheeks and his heart was ever true. He is the darling of my heart, my bonny boy in blue. He said he'd bring an elephant, a monkey and a bear, and a bunch of foreign feathers to match his Nancy's hair. He said he'd bring a hurley stick that came from Timbuktu, a present for his Nancy from her bonny boy in blue. Oh dear me, sure my poor heart would break, longing for the time to come when Johnny and I will meet, with his red rosy cheeks and his heart was ever true. He is the darling of my heart, my bonny boy in blue. He promised that he'd marry me as soon as he comes home, and never from his Nancy then no longer would he roam. And when that we are married, he never will go to sea. He'll stay inside with Nancy, oh young Johnny on his knee. Oh dear me, sure my poor heart will break, longing for the the time to come when Johnny and I will meet, with his red rosy cheeks and his heart that's ever true. He is the darling of my heart, my bonny boy in blue. Oh dear me, sure my poor heart would break, longing for the time to come when Johnny and I will meet, with his red rosy cheeks and his heart was ever true. He is the darling of my heart, my bonny boy in blue.
Yeah.
It was lovely, sir. Lovely.
Yeah, smashing.
Whereabouts in the
Smile to
country?
die for.
Really rousing.
Lots of beautiful harmonies in the choruses there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh.
I was madly out of tune, Amanda, I'm sorry.
See all the mouths going, yeah.
Welcome back to the second half. Clive is going to start, and yeah,
Right.
mute yourselves.
It's going to work.
You ready then?
We are, hopefully, roughly, approximately. Good enough for folk.
Tell me when I can start.
Yeah, go for it, Clive.
Right. It's of a rich farmer in Cheshire. To the market his daughter would go, not thinking that any should harm her. She'd been that way often before. She was met by a ruffian robber that caused the young woman to stand. Your money and gold now deliver, or else your sweet life is at hand. But he stripped the fair damsel stark naked, and he gave her his bridle to hold. She stood there a shivering and shaking, near starving to death with the cold. But she put her left foot in the stirrup, and she mounted the horse like a man. Over hedges and ditches she galloped, crying, "Catch me, bold rogue, if you can." Well, the bold rogue soon followed after, which caused him to puff and to blow. Thank God that he never did catch her, till she came to her father's own door. Oh, daughter, dear daughter, what's happened? Oh, father, to you I will tell. I was met by a ruffian robber. Thank God he has done me no harm. Put the grey mare into the stable and spread the white sheet on the floor. She stood there counting the money. She counted 5,000 or more. £5,000 is a big fortune. Dear daughter, I'll give you 5 more. £10,000 is a big fortune to keep the wild wolf from the door. And now she's a lady of honour, and she in her carriage does ride, with servants still waiting to pardon her, and a footman to ride by her side. End.
Hey.
Right.
I think you've sung that last verse before.
Great stuff, thank you, Clive. I'm glad we got you on. Okay, I'm going to sing next. After, could we have Maggie and Pete, please? And yeah, I felt that I didn't want to sing this in the first half because there were lots of ballads, and I was a bit worried that there might be no ballads in the second half. So, you know, get one in early and we're sorted. Okay. Okay, traditional Scottish ballad, Anarchy Gordon. Buchan is bonny, and there lives my love. My heart it lies on him, and will not remove. It will not remove, oh, for all that I have done. And I never will forget my love, Anarchy. For Anarchy Gordon, he's bonny and he's braw. He'd entice any woman that ever him saw. He'd entice any woman, and so he has done me, and I never will forget my love Anarchy. Down came her father, and he's standing by the door, saying, Jeanie, you're trying the tricks of a whore. You care nothing for a man who cares so very much for thee. You must marry Lord Salton and leave Anarchy. For Anarchy Gordon, he's barely but a man, and though he may be pretty, but where are his lands? For Lord Salton's lands are broad, and his towers they rise high. You must marry Lord Salton and leave Anarchy. With Anarchy Gordon I'd beg for my bread before I'd marry Salton, with gold to my head. With gold to my head and with gowns fringed to the knee, and I never will forget my love Anarchy. For Anarchy, and you that are my parents to church you may me bring, but unto Lord Salton I'll never bear a son. To a son or a daughter I will never bow the knee, and I'll die if I don't get my love Anarchy. Jeanie was married, and from church she was brought home, and when she and her maiden so merry should have been, when she and her maiden so merry should have been, she's gone into the chamber, she's cried all alone. Come to bed now, Jeanie, my honey and my sweet, for to style you my mistress it would be oh so sweet. Be it mistress or Jeanie, it's all the same to me, for in your bed, Lord Salton, I never will lie. And down came her father, and he's spoken with renown, saying, you that are her maidens, come loosen up her gowns. But she's fell down to the floor, so close down by his knee, saying, Father, look, I'm dying for my love of Anarchy. The day Jeanie married was the day that Jeanie died, and the day that young Anarchy came home on the tide. And down came her maidens all wringing of their hands, saying, oh, you've been too long now, too long upon the sands. You've been so long on the tide, and they've married off your love. They have married your Jeanie, and cold is her blood. You that are her maidens, come take me by the hand, and take me to the chamber that my love she lies in. And he's kissed her cold lips till his heart is turned to stone, and he's died in the chamber that his love she lies in.
Oh,
Yes.
good song.
Aye, well sung.
Sad.
Held that one, Amanda.
Mm.
Me
Yes,
heart.
thank you.
An absolutely miserable story.
Just a bast of misery.
In the
Not here to enjoy ourselves.
Misery with attitude.
Aye.
Wonderful.
So, after the misery,
Fabulous.
what have Maggie and Pete got for us? And after them, what has Wendy got for us? Who knows? You, Maggie and Pete.
Are we? Yeah, we're. Okay, big chorus, so please help out. And sorry to anyone who was at the Constitution last night, because we did it then. Ah. If I could, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Moses stood by the Red Sea shore, smote the water with the 2x4. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. God made man and he made him out of clay, put him on the earth but not to stay. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. God gave Noah the rainbow sign. No more water, just fire next time. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Brothers and sisters, don't you cry. There'll be good times by and by. Colston statue got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Fantastic. So I don't know whether that counts as Maggie's song or both of your song or what. Anyway, what's happening next? You tell me.
Well, we're cooperating.
Yeah. Okay.
change.
Okay. So in that case, we're moving on. And who was next? Was it Wendy? Is that who I called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And after Wendy, could we have Sam and Eleanor, please?
Okay, I thought I might carry on from last week when we had lots of St James Infirmary blues variations. And so this is a kind of another one from Hank Williams called Weary Blues. Weary blues from waiting. Lord, I've been waiting so long. These blues have got me crying. Oh, sweet daddy, please come home. The snow falls round my window, but it can't chill my heart. God knows it died the day you left. My dream world fell apart. Oh, weary blues from waiting. Lord, I've been waiting so long. These blues have got me crying. Oh, sweet daddy, please come home. Through tears I watch young lovers as they go strolling by, and all the things that might have been. God forgive me if I cried. Oh, weary blues from waiting. Oh, Lord, I've been waiting so long. These blues have got me crying. Oh, sweet daddy, please come home. Oh, sweet daddy, please come home.
Brilliant.
Nothing like a bit of blues. And so Sam and Eleanor are next, and quite possibly they do have nothing like a bit of blues, but we'll see.
Well, Eleanor's American, but
You need to unmute yourself there.
right. Singing separately this week, if we may. I was tempted to do a song in Welsh, but I thought Cecil Sharp House, English Folk Song Society. I'll sing one of Cecil Sharp's songs, collected in Somerset. A farmer, he had 3 sons, at least he'd 3 sons born. Oh, he came home tired in the middle of the night, and he turned them out of doors. Because they would not sing, because they would not sing. Oh, he came home tired in the middle of the night, and he turned them out of doors. The eldest of them was a millard, the next was a spinner of yarn, and the little tailor boy he made broadcloth for to keep those 3 scamps warm. For to make those 3 scamps warm, for to make those 3 scamps warm. And the little tailor boy he made broadcloth for to keep those 3 scamps warm. Oh, the millard he stole the corn, the spinner he stole the yarn, and the little tailor boy he stole broadcloth for to keep those 3 scamps warm. For to keep those 3 scamps warm, and the little tailor boy he stole broadcloth for to keep those 3 scamps warm. Now the millard he was drowned in his dam, and the spinner he was hung by his yarn, and the devil ran away with the little tailor boy with his broadcloth under his arm. With his broadcloth under his arm, with his broadcloth under his arm, and the devil ran away with the little tailor boy with his broadcloth under his arm. Oh, a farmer he had 3 sons, at least he'd 3 sons born. Oh, he came home tired in the middle of the night, and he turned them out of doors. Because they would not sing, because they would not sing. Oh, he came home tired in the middle of the night, and he turned them out of doors.
Eleanor, are you doing one yourself?
Yes, yes, I can. Okay, I'm unmuted now. Right. Short jacket and white trousers this young girl she put on, and like some jolly sailor lad went marching through the town, where she did engage with Captain Ross, his cabin boy to be, but was just for to seek for her own true love, who had crossed the raging sea. One night as she lay drowsing and was ready for bed, the captain gave a sigh and said, "Oh, I wish you were a maid." Why, your cherry cheeks and curling hair, they have beguiled me. And I've often wished with all my heart that you could my sweetheart be. Oh, hold your tongue, dear captain, for such talk is all in vain. And if our shipmates chance to hear, why they would make sport and game. Oh, but when that we do reach the shore, some pretty girls we'll find, for to ramble along with us bold lads, should we feel so inclined. Then just a few days afterwards they docked at Baltimore, where this maid appeared in her petticoats, and it made the captain roar. Oh, a sailor I have been on board, but a maiden I'm going ashore. And you've missed your chance, dear captain, so adieu for evermore. Short jacket and white trousers.
Thanks, Eleanor. So that's been another of our couples, duos, and now we're over to Jan. And Jan, I can't remember if I actually called you before Sam and Eleanor were on, or if this is news to you, but you're on next. And after Jan, we have Richard.
Okay.
I'm unmuted now. This is the other events of the week were the commemorations of troops landing on the other side of the water, and this is a Les Sullivan song, Roses of No Man's Land. Jim lay alone by a roadside in Flanders, blown from his horse in a sky full of lead. Then came a, oh, probably I've lost the tune, never mind, it'll come. Then came a voice as if spoken from nowhere. You'll be all right, chum, there's 4 miles than you. Just a few pills and a mouthful of water gave him the hope and the will to go on. Then the rosebud left him to tend to another, a father, a brother, a husband, a son. Where are the roses of no man's land? Where are the roses that held out a hand to the wounded and frightened, the injured and dying? Where are the roses that flower in hell? After the shelling, a boy he lay buried. Who the hell knew he was missing at all? Then a hand brushed his fingers and someone said, and a voice said, sorry, oh God. Then a hand brushed his fingers and a voice said, one here, sir. Men dug like demons and from death he was saved. Boy, I'm so glad to see you, said the soldier. It's lucky we saw you, said the man with no gun. Then the rosebud left him to tend to another, a father, a brother, a husband, a son. Where are the roses of no man's land? Where are the roses that held out a hand to the wounded and frightened, the injured and dying? Where are the roses that flowered in hell? Where are the roses that grew in the meadows, that looked on the slaughter of the khaki and grey, with a bag full of potions, an armour of courage, who searched for the living by night and by day? What sort of man does it take to be smiling when inside he's screaming for the strength to go on? But he knew he was needed to tend to another, a father, a brother, a husband, a son. Where are the roses of no man's land? Where are the roses that held out a hand To the wounded and frightened, the injured and dying, where are the roses that flowered in hell? Thank you.
Lovely.
The good songwriter, Les Sullivan.
Sure is.
Should be sung more often. Thanks, Jan. So Richard's our next singer, and after him we'll have David Diamond. And there's a long list of singers still to get through. I think we can get through everybody if we could keep our introductions as short as possible. Have more time for singing. So over to you, Richard.
In which case, I better not do an introduction rather than just get on with it. Come all ye gallant bush rangers, the news is going round that on the bold Ned Kelly's head they've set £1,000. For Steve Hart and Dan Kelly, 500 each they'd give, but if the sum was doubled, sure the Kelly boys would live. It was in November '79 the Kelly boys came down after shooting Sergeant Kennedy into Euroa town. To rob the bank of all its gold was their idea that day. Blood horses they were mounted on to make their getaway. Bold Ned Kelly walked into the bank and this is what he said. Hand over all the money or I'll shoot you through the head. They lifted a couple of £1,000, their hearts was high. Somebody's breaking in on this, somebody isn't muting. They lifted a couple of £1,000 and all their hearts were high. To the banker they said, if you give the alarm, you'll be the first to die. They raced into Jerilderie town about 12 o'clock at night. They caught the troopers in their beds and gave 'em a terrible fright. They held 'em up at pistol point and I'm ashamed to tell, they marched 'em along in their nightshirts and they locked 'em in the cell. They then acquainted the women folk that they intended to stay and take possession of the town until the following day. They took their horses to the stalls without the slightest fear, then went to rest their weary limbs till daylight did appear. Next morning, being Sunday morn, of course they must be good. They dressed themselves in troopers' clothes and Kelly chopped some wood. Nobody there expected them, for troopers they did pass, and then the most religious took the sergeant's wife to mass. They spent the day most pleasantly with plenty of good cheer, with fried beefsteak and onion and tomato sauce and beer, and the ladies in attendance indulged in pleasant talk, and just to ease the troopers' minds they took 'em for a walk. Next morning, dressed in the troopers' clothes, still owners of the ground, they took their horses to the forge and had 'em shod all round. They led 'em back unmounted and their plans worked out so well. They strolled along the main street and stuck up the Royal Hotel. They rounded up the servants and they put 'em in a room, saying, give us all the money or death will be your doom. One Chinese cook, no savvy, cried, not knowing what to fear, but they brought him to his senses with a left under the ear. Then they called for drinks all round and they paid for all they drank. Then 2 of them remained on guard while 2 went to the bank. But the manager could not be found till Kelly in great wrath he hunted high and hunted low and found him in his bath. Their robbing over they mounted then and made a quick retreat. They raced away with all their loot along Dan Morgan's old beat, and where they are now, well, I dunno. If I did, I wouldn't tell. So now, until I hear from 'em, I'll bid yous all farewell.
Done, Richard.
Stuff, Richard, thank you.
It's Tuesday the 9th of June.
David Diamond is next, followed by another David, David Clare.
Now, David Diamond.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, good. This song, for reasons I'm not quite sure of, won 3rd prize in a new shanty contest. I believe in Hull. I wasn't there, somebody sang it for me. Here we go. I dreamt I had a cup of tea. Tea bags away, my John, the way that coppers used to be. Tea bags away. Go, love, and put the kettle on. Tea bags away, my John. Don't let the water boil too long. Tea bags away. And don't forget to warm the pot. Tea bags away, my John. I won't have tea if it's not hot. Tea bags away. The tea we had when I was young. Tea bags away, my John. Was twice as good, 3 times as strong. Tea bags away. Now pour the tea, but what is this? Tea bags away, my John. You call this tea, it tastes like tea bags away. The moral now is very clear. Tea bags away, my John. Shun tea in bags and stick to beer. Tea bags away.
Hey.
Very true.
I think I'll go put the kettle on.
I think I'll stick to beer.
There's nothing like
No
a
milk
proper
or sugar,
traditional
Tom.
shanty, is there?
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe
Dave.
1 lump or 2.
Or in my case, cider.
And mine.
That
Dave,
wasn't very
Claire,
PG, was it?
we got something not like that for us. There is nothing like that.
No,
Nothing like it.
I do
After
like
Dave,
tea,
well-
though.
Sorry, just want to Christopher Evans. You're on after Dave.
We're just saying that Livy and I were down at the US Embassy on Sunday, and we were saying how wonderful it was to be on a Mars. It's not just as old crumblies, and it's just fantastic to see the enthusiasm, the passion of the young people, and it sort of made me feel sort of quite pleased that I've kind of continued tilting at windmills. I've been accused of tilting at windmills most of my life, really, but it just shows it's when you see things like that happening, you think, yeah, carry on, mate. So this is it's a Bill Caddick and John Tam song, and it's the old man song, also known as Don Quixote. If they ask you where the old man's gone, you may say you saw me leaving. And if they ask you, did I crawl, you may say you saw me riding. And if they ask you, was I bent with care, or did I hang my head in sorrow, you may say that I walked all looking forward to tomorrow. All you have for me is questions, living in the past, they say. Why should I have all the answers? Let me make my way. And if they ask you, did I travel light, with no provisions close beside me? Say my saddlebags were filled with all the dreams I need to guide me. And if they laugh and say he's lost his mind, and did they ever stop to wonder just what the fool might hope to find on the road that leads to yonder? All you have for me is questions, living in the past, they say. Why should I have all the answers? Let me make my way. And if they ask you where the old man's gone, you may say you saw him in the evening. Thank you. Bill Caddick and John Tams.
Good man.
Excellent. Well sung, Dave.
Well sung, Dave.
Well sung, mate.
Yes,
Beautiful,
thank you.
Dave.
Great
Beautiful.
stuff, Dave. Thank
Excellent.
you. So Christopher Evans is our next singer, followed by Tom Finn from Dublin.
Okay, hi everyone. It's a song I learnt back in the 70s off Bert Lloyd. He used to come to our folk club quite a lot, and I learnt this song off him. Farewell to Charworthy and the dew morning hills, and the dear lands of Crimmon, I bid you farewell. We are bound out for Greenland and ready to sail, in hopes to find the riches from hunting of the whale. Here's adieu to my comrades, for a while we must part, and likewise the dear lass that fair won my heart. Oh, the cold ice of Greenland my love will not chill, and the longer my absence, more loving she'll feel. Our ship, she's well rigged and she's ready to sail. Our crew, they are anxious to follow the whale, where the icebergs do float and the stormy winds blow, and the land and the ocean are covered with snow. seedtime nor harvest is ever known there, and the birds here sing sweetly on mountain and dale, but there isn't a birdie to sing to the whale. There is no habitation for man to live there, and the king of that country is the fierce Greenland bear, and there'll be no temptation to tarry long there. With our ship bumpers full we will homeward repair.
Brilliant. Lovely. I've heard that for a long time. What a great song.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great song and great accompaniment as well. I saw lots of comments
Yeah, excellent.
in the chat there about the accompaniment. So, okay, that was Chris. Now we have Tom Finn, and we seem to have a bit of an Irish run coming up, unless I'm very much mistaken. So Tom Finn, followed by Margaret Morahan.
Okay, you can hear me okay? Okay, this is a song called, song I only came across recently called Your Daughters and Your Sons. And it was written back in 1985 by Tommy Sands, the famous Sands family from up there in Rostrevor in County Down. And it's kind of relevant to the world we find ourselves in today. They wouldn't hear your music and they pulled your paintings down. They wouldn't read your writings and they banned you from the town. But they couldn't stop you dreaming and a victory was won. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. Your weary smile, it proudly hides the chain marks on your hands, as you bravely strive to realize the rights of every man. And though your body's bent and glow, a victory you have won. For you sowed the seeds of justice in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of justice in your daughters and your sons. I don't know your religion, but one day I heard you pray for a world where everyone can work and children can play. And though you never got your share of the victories you've won, you sowed the seeds of equality in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of equality in your daughters and your sons. They taunted you in Belfast and they tortured you in Spain. And in that Warsaw ghetto where they tied you up in chains. In Vietnam and in Chile when they came with tanks and guns. It's there you sowed the seeds of peace in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. It's there you sowed the seeds of peace in your daughters and your sons. And now your music's playing and the writing's on the wall. And all the dreams you've painted can be seen by one and all. And now you've got them thinking and the future's just begun. For you sow the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons, you sow the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. That's it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Great song, well sung. Thank you.
Hear that again.
Lovely stuff.
Margaret's our next singer, and followed by Tom Reed. Margaret, you'll need to unmute.
Okay.
Are you there?
I've done that.
Yeah.
Oh no,
that's
wait,
you
hold on.
now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's you now.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
I can hardly hear you. That's why I'm wondering, can you hear me?
Yes, can definitely hear you now.
That's grand. Okay. Well, if I put it here, can you hear me now? Can you still hear me? You can. Okay.
Yes.
I know my love by his way of walking. I know my love by his way of talking. I know my love by his suit of blue. And if my love leaves me, what will I do? And still she cries, I love him the best. But a troubled mind, sure it knows no rest. And still she cries, bonny boys are few. And if my love leaves me, what will I do? There is a dance house in the Mardyke, and there my dear love goes every night. He takes a strange girl on his knee, and don't you think but it troubles me? And still she cries, I love him the best. But a troubled mind, sure it knows no rest. And still she cries, bonny boys are few. And if my love leaves me, what will I do? If my love knew I could wash and wring, and if my love knew I could weave and spin, and I could make a suit all of the best kind, but the want of money leaves me behind, and still she cries, I love him the best. But a troubled mind, sure it knows no rest. And still she cries, bonny boys are few. And if my love leaves me, what will I do? A sad story.
Yeah, good girl.
Yeah.
Good to hear that again.
60s.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Lovely, Margaret. Thank you. So, Tom, what have you got for us? And after Tom, what will Ray have for us? Are you unmuting, Tom?
Oh, I am now. Am I that okay?
Aye, that's you.
Okay. Actually, today you'll all be pleased to know I wrote to the people of New Zealand and asked them if we could borrow their Prime Minister for about 5 years. So I'm waiting to hear back. Hopefully we'll get her, because she's wonderful. Anyway, this is called Refugee, which is a true story I heard coming up the Holloway Road one day on Radio 4. I went down to the well for water, with the full moon ablaze in my eyes. At the window, my sad little daughter hurried back to me, Daddy, she cried. 'cause I'm frightened alone in the darkness, and the guns seem much closer tonight. They just keep on killing each other. Tell me, Daddy, why do they fight? Come to me, child. Come to me, child. You know you have nothing to fear. Dry your eyes, child. Dry your eyes, child. Your daddy will always be here. Oh, Daddy, I can't keep from crying since they took my dear mommy away. I still miss how she called me her darling. I still miss the games that we played. She could dry up my tears with her kisses. She could sing like the birds in the trees. And I know that she sleeps with the angels. But I wish she were back here with me. Come to me, child. Come to me, child. You know you have nothing to fear. Dry your eyes, child. Dry your eyes, child. Your daddy will always be here. I crossed over the hills for the border when the night was as black as the grave. And I carried my sad little daughter. Be brave, child, I whispered, be brave. She said, Daddy, I'm tired and I'm hungry, and the wind is so cold in the pines. But as long as I'm high on your shoulder, I'll be as brave as a lion. Come to me, child. Come to me, child. You know you have nothing to fear. Dry your eyes, child. Dry your eyes, child. Your daddy will always be here. That's it, thank you.
Lovely.
That was lovely.
Powerful Tom.
Dry eye in the house, Tom. Again.
Well said.
Okay, Ray McLaughlin is our next singer, and James Eagle will follow Ray. Everyone who has not sung yet, who has their hand up, will get a chance to sing. Yeah, I think we'll just manage to squeeze you in finishing somewhere around 11 o'clock, but unlikely to be before. Okay, over to you, Ray.
Okay, thanks. I missed the very start of the session while I'm taking a chance nobody sang a Langston Hughes poem or anything in the first hour or so, so I'll give this a go anyway. It seems I hear Harry Moore from the earth, his voice still cries. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. Freedom never dies, I say. Freedom never dies. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. It happened in Florida, the land of flowers. It was on a Christmas night. Men came stealing through the orange grove, bearing hate and dynamite. To a little cottage, family name of Moore, and the window sprigs of holly, a pine wreath on the door. Christmas 1951, the family prayers were said. Mother, father, daughter, grandmother went to bed. The father's name was Harry Moore, the NAACP. He fought for the right for us to live. Black people must be free. And it seems I hear Harry Moore from the earth, his voice still cries. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. Freedom never dies, I say. Freedom never dies. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. And it could not be in Jesus' name beneath the bedroom floor. On Christmas night, the killers laid a bomb for Harry Moore. And it could not be in Jesus' name the killers took his life. They blew his home to pieces and killed his faithful wife. It could not be for the sake of love they did this awful thing. When the bomb exploded and the Moors died, no hearts were heard to sing. And certainly no angels cried, peace on earth, goodwill to men. But around the world a question hurled, question when? When will people, for the sake of peace, for the sake of democracy, no bombs that they can build can stop us being free. And it seems I hear Harry Moore from the earth, his voice still cries. No bombs can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. Freedom never dies, I say. Freedom never dies. No bombs can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. So if you see our Harry Moore walking on a Christmas night, don't you fear and run and hide. He has no dynamite. For in his heart is only love for all the human race. And all he wants is for each of us to have our rightful place. And this he says, our Harry Moore, as from the grave he cries. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies. Freedom never dies, I say. Freedom never dies. No bomb can kill the dreams I hold. Freedom never dies.
Hey! Bam. Well done, Ray. Very appropriate.
Another great song.
Great stuff.
And somebody said, Dave said in the comments that he wishes we were all at Sharp so could join in the choruses. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
In the meantime, we can see each other mouthing away like little fish. So, James Eagle is our next singer, and James will be followed by Jacqueline Grimes, please.
Since that horrible old racist slaver statue got thrown into Bristol Harbour the other day, here's a song about how Bristol came by its wealth and how the British Empire came by its wealth too. Now Smith was a Bristol man, and a rare old soul was he, with his cutlass and his pistols, heave-yo-ho. He'd a noble crew of cutthroats who used to scour the sea, a plundering and a robbing high and low. He swore did not concern him, he didn't give a herring about right or wrong or any holy show. He swore that robbing booty was Britain's foremost duty, wherever she could get it, heave-yo-ho. Heave-yo-ho, heave-yo-ho. He swore that robbing booty was Britain's foremost duty, wherever she could get it, heave-yo-ho. Now Smith was a noble soul, and lofty was his pride, with his cutlass and his pistols, heave-yo-ho. He'd watch his beaten foemen jump out into the tide, call you beggars, you had nowhere else to go. And dangling from his lanyards hung Portuguese and Spaniards, and beaten Frenchmen swinging to and fro. Right along the blazing story shall illumine England's glory, and Pirate Smith of Bristol, heave-yo-ho. Heave-yo-ho, heave-yo-ho. He swore that robbing booty was Britain's foremost duty, wherever she could get it, heave-yo-ho. Ah, but accidents will happen even to heroes such as he, with his cutlass and his pistols, heave-yo-ho. He was standing on his capstan just as happy as could be, hoping soon to have another prize in tow, when a whistling Spanish bullet came and caught him in the gullet, and very sad to say it laid him low. He was only 97, but his soul has gone to heaven, to rest on Nelson's bosom, heave-yo-ho. Heave-yo-ho, heave-yo-ho. He was only 97, but his soul has gone to heaven, to rest on Nelson's bosom, heave-yo-ho. Heave-yo-ho, heave-yo-ho. He swore that robbing booty was Britain's foremost duty, wherever she could get it, heave-yo-ho.
Hey. Did anyone hear the wonderful comment by Diane Abbott when they were saying this is thuggery bringing down the slavers' statue? And she said, put it in a museum. There's a perfectly good slavery museum in Liverpool.
Oh, no.
Of course, to the same tune, there's that one about blowing up Nelson's Pillar in Dublin, which was my second choice for this evening.
For that, James. Yes, indeed. Very good timing. Jacqueline's next, and after Jacqueline, we have only two singers. So it'll be Jacqueline and then Declan. And
okay, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. So I'm going to sing, I think I sung an English folk song the last time. I'm going to sing a Welsh folk song in English. So it's called Dio Bach, which means Little David. Just get my note. Dio Bach, my little baby, by my breast you slept and smiled. Now you're gone far from me, laddie, I know not where you abide. Every day I'm thinking of you, hoping, praying you are well. So if you can, please send a letter for to ease your mother's mind. Where you are, I hope there's plenty, and you've a fine feather bed. Things are tough here, cupboards empty, but we manage to get by. Dio, son, I hope you're wealthy, eating well and saying your prayers. And if you can, please send a letter for to ease your mother's mind. So if you can't come home to see me, nor to help in any way, know just that I long to hold you before the angels pass my way. Grant me this, my sweet son Dio, my one wish I ask of you. When the time comes, shed a tear, love, just one tear, remember me. When the time comes, shed a tear, love, just one tear, remember me.
Wow, cracking. Lovely, Jackie.
Lovely.
Brilliant.
Unusual to hear a Welsh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a song I heard Gwilym Bone Rees singing in Welsh, and I just translated it in English.
Oh, it's your own translation.
Yeah. Well, he gave me a translation, and I made my own lyrics.
Fabulous. Yeah, great stuff.
Wow, brilliant.
Okay, so Declan is our ultimate singer, and our ultimate singer will be Caroline. So over to you.
Okay, can you hear me all right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good.
These warnings about being the next singer are making me nervous. You give me too much time to be nervous. I'm
Remember
gonna sing a
that
song.
next time.
No, I know you have your rules. I'm gonna sing a song, a Traveller song, written by a friend of mine who I had the pleasure of knowing in his final years, John Keneally, and the song is Rosie Riley. I wish I were in my love's arms. I wish I were in my love's care, to piebald horses in me pocket, rolling round and round the fair. Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosie Riley. Oh, Rosie Riley. Oh, I held Rosie in my arms at the fair of Ballinasloe. Ballinasloe was green and airy in the morning coming down. Rosie sitting and telling fortunes cross me palm. Will I have a crown? Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosie Riley. Oh, Rosie Riley. Oh, I held Rosie in my arms at the fair of Ballinasloe. I didn't know she had a husband, by far a bigger man than me. I didn't know he had two brothers, both as big and black as he. Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosie Riley. Oh, Rosie Riley. Oh, I held Rosie in my arms at the fair of Ballinasloe. I saw me brother a flinging bottles. I saw me father on the ground, and there was I with me head wide open. Rosie Riley, where are you now? Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosie Riley. Oh, Rosie Riley. Oh, I held Rosie in my arms at the fair of Ballinasloe. I wish I were in my love's arms. I wish I were in my love's care. Two piebald horses in me pocket, rolling round and round the fair. Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosie Riley. Oh, Rosie Riley. Oh, I held Rosie in my arms at the fair of Ballinasloe. Oh, Rosie Riley, where are you now?
Yeah.
Rackin.
Thanks, Declan, for sharing that autobiographical song with us.
Careful, careful.
Our next
The
and
missus is
final,
listening.
Our next and final singer is Caroline Stupniska.
Hi.
And Caroline, I don't know what you've got for us, but please take us away.
Hi, I've sang this at the folk club in Sharps many times. I don't think I've sang at virtual Sharps. Anyway, it's a change of pace. Everyone knows this. Join me, sing the chorus. And it goes like this. Who'll be the lady and who'll be the lord when we are ruled by the love of one another? Who'll be the lady and who'll be the lord in the light that is coming in the morning? So I'll sing John Ball and tell it to them all, and long live the dawn that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning. Eve is the lady and Adam is the Lord when we are ruled by the love of one another. Eve is the lady and Adam is the Lord in the light that is coming in the morning. So I'll sing John Ball and tell it to them all, and long live the day that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning. Labour and spin for fellowship, I say. Labour and spin for the love of one another. Labour and spin for fellowship, I say, in the light that is coming in the morning. So I'll sing John Ball and tell it to them all, and long live the day that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning. All shall be ruled by fellowship, I say. All shall be ruled by the love of one another. All shall be ruled by fellowship, I say, in the light that is coming in the morning. So I'll sing John Ball and tell it to them all, and long live the day that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning. So I'll sing John Ball and tell it to them all, long live the day that is dawning. I'll crow like a cock, I'll carol like a lark in the light that is coming in the morning.
Hey.
That's
Well
right.
done,
Well
Caroline.
done.
Thanks everybody for another great night.
Great to see you, Mac.
Great, Mac.
Great to see you, Mac.
Even see them in films. But,
Good night, everyone. Thank you for all your fantastic
monologues.
Everybody, thank you for coming, David.
Done, Amanda.
The accent, you see.
Amanda.
They tell a story with rhymes, and they're quite funny. And I do them sometimes to entertain people. And Simon does the same thing. He did one this evening. Yes.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so well, we close everything down now.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Amanda. Thank you very much for hosting.
Everyone.
Written stuff.
Well.
Did you get my message?
Yes, thank you.